Hey, what's up everybody? This is Daniel Adams of One Spark Media, and we are here for the first of many speed art videos. That's right, speed art, where you will watch how we put surreal photography together very fast. That's why it's called speed art. So with no further ado, what we're going to look at today is we're going to take a glimpse at how we create what we are calling this picture, taking action in the streets. It's a fun picture that we used to put together of my son and two nephews, and the premise behind the picture came from being on a walk and happened to glance down at the road and notice two yellow lines in the middle of the road, and know that my son and my two nephews are both yellow belts in karate. And so I figured, well, how fun would it be to try to create a surreal photograph where the two yellow lines on the street are becoming two yellow belts? And that was the premise and the thought process behind what began this project. So what you'll see here is just a real quick process of how we created this, about 7 hours of work, comprised into about 13 minutes of fun, action-packed speed art. You'll notice here, first process is just cutting everybody out. We took individual photographs of the three kids, all dressed in their karate gi outfit with their yellow belts in place, each one doing a different pose. My nephew Joey here was actually injured in his knee, and so he really couldn't do too many different poses, so we got him his nunchucks and had him do a rising block with his nunchuck to still show that action that was being taken into the street. And but we first had to cut him out. So we're going through the whole process, and part of the difficulty we had with Joey's cutout was his hair. You'll notice at first we try to really keep to as much of the hair as we can, and then later on we'll go back in with some different hair brushes and we'll kind of take out some of the hair around the rim of the mask of the cutout, and then we go back in and kind of paint it back in with some hair brushes to kind of pose it the way it's a little bit more feasible, a little easier to work with. What you're seeing here is the power lines were a little distracting in the background, and so my first thought after posing the kids in place where I wanted them to be was to let's get rid of some of the power lines in the background. They were a little distracting, and this actually was a decision. You'll see we're kind of flipping the kids, move one kid to one side, one to the other. We used the transform tool to flip them horizontally in the other direction from where the original picture was taken, but in doing that, some of the tags on the belts and the uniform became inverted, thus the words were backwards, and we couldn't have that, so we had to fix that here in post-production. Next up, and really kind of the first starting point, was getting the picture of the kid here punching the ground and really working on centering everything around him, because the premise being that there's only two yellow lines and three yellow belt students was to have one of the yellow belts kind of breaking the ground, thus allowing the yellow lines to come up off the ground and flow out to the two yellow belt students. So we used the one student in the back to be punching the ground, so we really started with setting him up as kind of the anchor to the picture, so to speak. Got him in place and color corrected the way we wanted to, and then we went ahead and worked on the other two students and building them around the center point, which was the student breaking the ground. There were some original things that we were going to do, but as we worked them out, we decided upon some other things, like the storm clouds were kind of a last minute touch. We're like, let's add some storm clouds, maybe some lightning, and then we got into the groundbreaking. So what we're going to do here is we're going to put some tunes on and watch exactly how we broke this ground. Enjoy.
Block off. I ain't karate kidding. Bruce Lee, giving you double vision, no fear, no mercy. Gloves off, try and hurt me. You can't hurt me. You can't hurt me. You can't hurt me. can't stop me, you can't drop me, you can't block me. You can't break me, you can't shake me, gonna make me. This is the takedown. This is the takedown. This is the takedown. This is the takedown. Sweep the leg. Sweep the leg. Sweep the leg. High tech defense mechanism. Crane kick. I'm a lethal weapon, should say. Dojo, black belt, let's go, let's go, let's go, let's go. You can't stop me, you can't drop me, you can't block me. You can't break me, you can't shake me, gonna make me. This is the takedown. This is the takedown. This is the takedown. This is the takedown. Sweep the leg.
So I think one of the funnest parts of the groundbreaking was actually what you're seeing on the screen here of how we took literally a piece of paper, took a photograph of it on the desk, first ripped it down the middle and then rolled the sides back so that when you let go, they would kind of like be held up in the air. And then going from that piece of paper into something that would be able to look like the road itself was peeling up. Took a lot of work, a lot of different textures to go in there and actually warp them around the bend of the paper so that they would look as if they were warping as well. And then just adding a slight little bit of texture and depth to the road, as you can see with the edging, so that it looks as if it's more of a three-dimensional object versus just a flat plane to help build that fold back and that tear. And then just adding the dirt underneath and adding the different textures where they needed to be. It was probably one of the funnest things to do on this project. And again, it's just showing that just with different textures and different photographs and just a little bit of thought, that you can turn a piece of art into something that's just really creative and fun in a storytelling way. And in all honesty, the idea of the road splitting like this was not even in the original design. It was just something that as we were working on it, and I was like, you know what, let's try something a little different. Let's add a little bit more pizzazz to the photo. And this is what I ended up coming to, and I'm really glad I did, because I think it really shows the power behind the punch with the cracks and everything. So that was really fun to do. I would have to say, looking back at the project, there's always that element that you think at front's going to be, really, really fun and really simple. And then it turns out to be kind of the bane of the existence of the project. Well, for me, it was just the extension of the yellow belt. I had tried a couple different iterations of extending the yellow belts before actually settling on the one here. They both kind of came from a different place. In the case of the student on the left, I just took the bit of the yellow belt that was already hanging down in the photo we used, and I just copied it multiple times and warped it and bent it until I got a shape and a look that I was happy with. In the case of the student on the right of the crack on the road, the piece of yellow belt that he had in the photo was not long enough. So we had a second photo where we had just the piece of the yellow belt. First, what I did is drew out with a pen tool using kind of a shape that I wanted it to take, as if it was kind of bending and twisting as it's heading from the ground up to his belt. And so that part there just, really took a lot of time, a lot of warping, a lot of blending, a lot of masking. But all in all, it was fun because there are things in life that are difficult, and there are tasks that seem like, oh man, it's gonna be a lot of work. But don't ever give up on them, because if it's part of the vision, if it's part of the main concept, part of what needs to be done, go for it, because the hard work will pay off, as I think it did in this case. It took a lot of time getting this yellow belt exactly what we needed it to be, but in the end, I think it really flows nice. And I think it really just adds a lot to the picture. So there's my life lesson for you from One Spark Media Speed Art. Don't give up just because something's difficult. Persevere, endure through the hardships of life. There's a sunny sky through those rain clouds.
Somebody call that fire department. Flames turned up at my apartment. Gotta stop, drop, cause it's getting hot. Yeah, it's getting hot. Hot. Easy. Okay. Gonna get your heart rate up to the sky. Up to the sky. Up to the sky. Up to the sky. Easy. Okay. Gonna get your heart rate up to the sky. Up to the sky. Up to the sky. Up to the sky. Easy. Okay. Going out of control. We are that berserk. Go berserk. Go berserk. Go berserk.
So really, the last part of the process was adding some kind of haze in the background. I decided, because I had storm clouds and a lightning bolt, that I wanted to make it feel more of kind of a foggy, about to rain type feel in the photo, which is why we ended up using more of kind of blue colors and tones, almost like an early evening type situation. It was then fun because we were adding more of a foggier type setting to go ahead and put some headlights on the truck. And so I think the final thing was just color correcting and getting it to where we needed to be, and that is the speed art video, and that's how we ended up getting some fun details that look like this. So I want to thank you for tuning into this first speed art video by One Spark Media. Again, if you are looking for web design, graphic design, surreal photography, video production, please reach out to us at www.onesparkmedia.com. Whatever the project is, whatever your digital marketing needs are, we can create something that'll help ignite your brand online. So check us out. Thanks so much.